Welcome into Cornhusker Connection on SVSM. I'm Brandon Shanahan, as always, joined by Bookie Brooke Byrne, and we got a special guest here today. Tyler's out on international waters, but I think we got an upgrade here. We got Jed Burks from the Big Red Junkies podcast, my favorite fan-led Husker podcast. We're very excited to have him on. So, Jed, thank you for hopping on.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. So if you could do me a favor, if you're watching this, if you're listening to my voice, listen to me yap, do me a quick favor, like the video, subscribe. It costs you nothing. It helps us out a ton. And then also hop on over to the Go Big Red or the Big Red Junkies podcast and do the same for them. They're certainly worth it. You won't regret that. But a good weekend, fellas. I'm pretty pleased with it. How are we feeling?
Never apologize for a win.
That's right.
Never, never, never.
And so,
First
Jay, I
half was
kind of
rocky.
very rocky. Might
To say
be
the
the
least.
single worst half of football I've ever seen. I mean, it made the
I've been
Broncos
saying
Jets
a
game
lot.
the next day look like a Georgia Bama.
I've been saying a lot lately. Winning is hard in football in general, and also especially in big boy college football. And we don't do a lot of that lately. So this is unfortunately with the way some of the fans are reacting to wins and or losses. It's like we've never done this before in our lives. Um, but winning is hard, and I don't apologize for wins, and I'll take them anywhere I can get them, especially over the last 15 to 20 years.
And I certainly won't apologize enjoying it, as a lot of fans will kick their toes in the sand and try to find reasons to nitpick. I'm like, if you're nitpicking 4-1, then I think that means that we're as back as ever.
Absolutely. And the fact that Raiola after the game said, everybody kind of expected us to hit the panic button, and here we go again. And we came out and handled business and scored almost 30 points there in the second half was really good to see.
So I'm a bit on the dramatic side. So it's been a lot of, you know what, 11-1 on the table. Oh, we lost to Illinois. We might not go back to a bowl game. Oh, 4-1. We're probably somewhere in the middle. How are you feeling about the team, and what were you feeling about them going into the season?
Well, first and foremost, with you doing the whole roller coaster wave of your hand and stuff, that's one thing that I've been doing the best I can over the last couple of years, to be honest, is to try to not get on that roller coaster. That roller coaster is a rough ride. So I do my best not to get on that roller coaster. But going into the season, obviously everybody kind of broke down the schedule as the first 7 games, 7-0, 6-1, whatever. Uh, I did my best not to just look at the names on that schedule. I looked at also who we are and who we are building to be. I had us at 5-2 through our first 7 games. I had the Colorado game, this game coming up against Rutgers, and Indiana as toss-up games. So I just basically said we're going to lose 2 of those games. Obviously, we lost the Illinois game, so that kind of stinks.
Even going into the half 0-0, it didn't quite feel like it was very even as far as who was moving the football and what was happening, when you're trying to get the pay dirt. So I'm very happy that they found ways to score points. Very upsetting that this whole offseason initiative chasing through, we forgot to figure out how to kick field goals. But overall, I mean, the game I'm pretty happy with. I think it's a game that previous versions of this team probably finds a way to keep Purdue close, turn the ball over, keep them in the game, and then find a way to fumble it at the end. And what was an oddly impressive crowd in West Lafayette. There were more people there than I was expecting. And that's a tough game, true freshman quarterback getting it started, first road game. So overall, I'll give the team a good B. I'm really happy with where we're at now.
But to be completely honest, I was never really worried. I know that
Right.
one play could have changed the entire thing, but we were moving the ball every single drive we had. Every drive we had in that entire game ended in Purdue territory. Yeah, do we need to get in the end zone? Do we need to kick the ball through those yellow things that go up and down and one bar that goes across the middle of it? Yeah, but thankfully we were playing one of the worst teams in college football right now, and that didn't come back to bite us. So, I mean, yeah, could you sit there and say that some of that's going to bite us against a more talented and better team? Maybe, but I look at it as after that Illinois game, Rule talked about how when the game gets tight, we get tight. Hell, he talked about it before the season even started when that open practice happened. and he pulled all the players aside because they weren't practicing the way that they wanted to. And then, like a week later, when a bunch of fans and family members were there, he basically kicked the family members out of practice because the players were practicing differently around people. Well, this game got tight, and they did not get tight. They continued to fight. They answered the bell. They came out of halftime. They went down 3-0 immediately, and then they went right back down and scored and took control of the game. I don't really have a whole lot of problems other than the obvious of this game going forward.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, where we didn't have any points in the first half, but like you said, we were moving the ball up and down on them at will, and some of that with the phantom offensive pass interference and the touchy fouls on offense. Banks got called for a block in the back that Rule was really upset about. It just it we were still 0-0, but it looked and felt different. Like, I, as a fan watching, I wasn't as tight. I was like, all right, it feels like we're gonna pop the lid off of this at some point, and we did. So that was a positive sign where we strained ourselves in a tight game, but we took care of business.
And I think the number one thing that I was looking for, as far as you're playing a team that's really struggling in Purdue, but Devin Mockabee's a problem, and they have found ways to run the football before. We have struggled against Illinois, even struggled against Northern Iowa when they came to Memorial Stadium. So how was the defense going to respond after what was really a disappointing night against Illinois? And overall, I never felt that stressed in this Purdue game because the defense was playing so well. It seemed like Ty Robinson had gotten his energy back. They were attacking the run, forcing Hudson Card to make plays down the field, and that's not a successful formula for Purdue, especially missing their top guys. So I was really happy with the defense, and that's a big sigh of relief going deeper into Big Ten play for me.
Yeah. I mean, how many times would we watch a first half like that in the last couple of years? Would we say there's not a chance in hell that we're going to win this game? A lot.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
you guys both just basically said it. Yeah, that first half was sketchy as hell, but were you really ever that worried? Like, there's a different feeling with this team. Is it perfect? Does it still scare us a little bit because of our PTSD? Yeah, but it's just different. And again, it does help playing Purdue, who's really bad, but it's still just different because even against the bad teams that we've played over the last handful of years, we would have cowered and not won that game.
absolutely. And I don't know, with how our schedule shakes out the next 4 or 5 weeks. Like, Rutgers isn't getting a lot of love nationally, but that's a good football team. They're undefeated. We have Indiana, USC, and then obviously we got to go to Columbus. I think in the next month or so, you're really, I mean, this team's going to show us who they are. And whether we come out of that stretch like 2-2 or 3-1 is, I think you're going to find out our hopes going forward. I would like to think that we're a bowl team as it stands right now, but with the last 10, 15 years, that's not always a given. But I mean, I want to see that defense keep taking steps forward, and obviously Raiola in the offense. We've kind of plateaued at this 28, 30 point mark, like as far as putting up points. And I know the kicking game has something to do with that, but I want to see us, put points on the board in bunches and, kind of take some of the stress off the defense.
And I think, and I'm glad that Jed brought up the schedule because it feels very different today than it did going into the season as far as this first 7 game stretch where Rutgers looks probably a little bit better than I thought. Indiana looks a heck of a lot better than I thought going into the year. And then
A
even like
lot.
at the back end, maybe Wisconsin's not they maybe they're a little bit more vulnerable. But I mean, these are going to be the games that we look back on the season. As far as as much as I'd love to get the Iowa State game or the Ohio State game, that'd be sick. But like it's the Indianas, the Rutgers, the teams that maybe don't have that traditional branding that Jed had alluded to earlier, but are good ball clubs. And Greg Schiano's done a great job. We saw Brett Belima, who was perfect for Illinois, and the way that he's got those guys going is very on brand for him, very perfect for him. Kurt Cignetti's, I mean, he's a superstar. He's going to be coaching the SEC here pretty soon. I mean,
Yeah, we
we're in a
gotta.
dogfight. Yeah, we're in a dogfight every week now, and I was bummed after the Illinois game because I was like, boy, this felt like the perfect opportunity to get some of those monkeys off our backs. Winning in overtime, beating a ranked team, winning as a ranked team. But I think we're going to get plenty more of those opportunities.
It just, yeah, I think you said it. We got to get the monkey off of our back of having expectation and winning with expectation, and that's tough to do when you've lost for so long. So be interested to see how the next 2 weeks goes.